Stakeholder analysis, your roadmap to change success. Most project managers think they know exactly who their stakeholders are, but ignoring that one quiet person in the corner is exactly how a multi-million-dollar project ends up in the trash can. If you think stakeholder analysis is just about making a list of names, you are setting yourself up for a very loud, very expensive surprise that could have been avoided with a few simple steps. Today, we are looking at the backbone of every successful change initiative. Whether you are a seasoned change manager, a project manager trying to keep a timeline from slipping, or a team leader who just wants their people to stop complaining about a new software update, this is for you. Here is our agenda for this session. First, we are going to define what stakeholder analysis actually is. And trust me, it is more than just a spreadsheet. Second, we will talk about why this process is the absolute lifeblood of change. Then, we are going to spend the bulk of our time on the 5 key steps: identifying your stakeholders, understanding their hidden interests, assessing their power, mapping them out visually, and finally, developing a strategy to win them over. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, actionable plan to handle even the most difficult people in your organization. What is stakeholder analysis? Anyway, before we get into the how, we need to be very clear about the what. Stakeholder analysis is the process of identifying every single person who has a stake in your project and figuring out exactly how they feel about it. It is like being a detective. You aren't just looking for the people who sign the check. You are looking for everyone who is affected by the change, whether they are the ones using the new tool, the ones managing the people using the tool, or even the customers who might see a slight change in their monthly bill. Think of it like planning a massive family dinner. If you only talk to your mom because she's the one hosting, you might forget that your cousin is a vegan, your uncle is allergic to shellfish, and your sister is currently not speaking to your brother. If you just show up with a giant shrimp platter, the dinner is going to be a disaster, regardless of how much you spent on the food. Stakeholder analysis is how you find out about the allergies and the arguments before you ever start cooking. It helps you understand different perspectives so you can involve people in a way that makes sense for them. The goal here isn't just to manage people, it is to find the best way to bring them along for the ride. You want to turn potential enemies into allies, or at the very least, make sure the people who don't like the change aren't surprised by it. Surprise is the #1 enemy of change management. You might be thinking, I have a lot of work to do. Do I really need to spend hours making a map of people's feelings? The answer is a resounding yes. If you skip this, you are rolling the dice with your career. Stakeholder analysis is about risk mitigation. Every person you ignore is a walking, talking risk to your project. Maybe they have the power to cut your budget. Maybe they have the influence to tell their entire department to ignore your new process. By doing this analysis, you identify these risks early while you still have time to fix them. Another huge benefit is gaining buy-in. People support what they help create. When you take the time to analyze a stakeholder and then actually go talk to them about their concerns, they feel heard. Even if you can't give them exactly what they want, the fact that you asked makes a massive difference. This leads to customization. Instead of sending one boring email to 500 people, you can tailor your message. You can tell the finance team how this saves money, and tell the sales team how this helps them close deals faster. Finally, this is about sustainability. We've all seen projects that seem to work for 2 weeks, and then everyone goes back to their old ways. That happens because the change wasn't actually adopted. Proper stakeholder analysis builds the relationships necessary to make a change stick for the long haul. It creates a sense of ownership across the organization. Step 1. Identify your stakeholders. The first step is the brainstorming. You need to cast a wide net. Don't just look at the organizational chart. Think about the ripple effect. If you drop a stone in a pond, where do the ripples go? If you change the way the warehouse tracks inventory, it obviously affects the warehouse workers. But it also affects the truck drivers who pick up the items, the customer service reps who check on order status, and the IT team that has to maintain the database. Start with your internal stakeholders. These are your employees, the middle managers who are often caught in the crossfire, and the executives who are sponsoring the project. But don't stop there. Think about cross-functional departments. Does HR need to change how they train people because of this? Does the legal team need to review new contracts? Then, look externally. This is where a lot of people mess up. Your stakeholders aren't just the people who work in your building. They are your customers, your suppliers, and your regulators. If you are a construction company building a new bridge, the people living in the neighborhood next to that bridge are stakeholders. They don't work for you, but they can certainly make your life difficult if they aren't happy. Take a blank piece of paper and write down every single group or person who could possibly be impacted. Don't filter yet, just get the names down. Step 2. Understand their interests and concerns. Now that you have your list, you need to put on their shoes. This is the perspective shifting phase. For every stakeholder on your list, you need to ask, what is in it for me? This is the famous WIFM factor. Everyone, from the CEO to the part-time intern, is looking at your project through the lens of their own daily life. You need to identify potential gains and potential worries. Maybe a manager is excited because this new system will give them better data, but they are also worried because it means they have to spend 10 hours a week training their staff on top of their normal work. That worry is a concern you need to address. If you don't acknowledge the extra workload, that manager will resent you, even if they like the software. How do you get this information? You talk to them. Don't guess. Use surveys if you have a large group. But for the key players, you need one-on-one interviews or small focus groups. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of saying, "Are you excited about the project?" Ask, "How do you think this change will impact your team's Tuesday mornings?" Listen more than you talk. You are looking for the hidden interests, the things people might not say in a big meeting, but will tell you over a cup of coffee. Step 3. Assess their influence and impact. Not all stakeholders are created equal. You cannot give 100% of your energy to 100% of the people. You will burn out in a week. This is where we measure two specific things: influence and impact. Influence is the power a person has over the project. Can they stop it? Can they give it more money? Can they convince other people to support it? A CEO has high influence, but sometimes a long-term employee who everyone respects also has high influence, even if they don't have a fancy title. If that person says the project is a bad idea, everyone else will believe them. Impact is how much the change actually touches their life. A new payroll system has a high impact on the payroll department. Their whole job is changing. It has a lower impact on a software developer who just gets a different-looking pay slip once a month. You need to grade these. Is their influence high, medium, or low? Is the impact on them high, medium, or low? This data is the math behind your strategy. Step 4. Map your stakeholders. Now we get to the fun part, the Power Dutch Interest Grid. This is a simple visual tool that changes everything. Imagine a graph. The vertical line is power or influence. The horizontal line is interest or impact. This creates 4 quadrants. In the top right, you have your key players. These are people with high power and high interest. These are the people you need to partner with. You should be talking to them almost daily. They are your VIPs. In the top left, you have people with high power but low interest. These people are dangerous. They don't care much about your project, but they have the power to kill it if they get annoyed. Your goal here is to keep satisfied. Give them enough information so they aren't surprised, but don't bore them with the tiny details. In the bottom right, you have low power but high interest. These are often the people who will be using the new system every day. They can't stop the project, but they are the ones who make it work. Your goal is to keep informed. They want details. They want to know when training is happening. If you keep them in the loop, they become your biggest supporters. In the bottom left, you have low power and low interest. These people just need minimal monitoring. Send them the occasional newsletter and move on. Don't waste your precious time here. Step 5, develop engagement strategies. The map tells you where to go, but the strategy is how you get there. You need a specific plan for each group. For your key players, you might invite them to a weekly steering committee meeting. You give them a seat at the table. For the high-power, low-interest group, maybe you just send them a high-level executive summary once a month. Think about the communication channels. Does this group prefer emails, or would they rather have a quick town hall meeting where they can ask questions? Does this group need a hands-on demo, or just a one-page PDF of the benefits? Your strategy should also include what you are saying. For the people who are worried about their workload, your strategy should focus on how this change will eventually save them time or make their lives easier. You are selling a solution to their specific problem. The story of Sarah and Marcus. Let's look at how this works in the real world. Imagine a project manager named Sarah. She was tasked with rolling out a new digital filing system at a large law firm. Sarah identified the partners as her key players and the junior lawyers as her high-interest group. She spent all her time talking to them. However, she ignored Marcus. Marcus was the head of the IT security team. Marcus didn't have a high interest in the filing system itself, but he had massive influence because he controlled the servers. Because Sarah didn't include Marcus in her analysis, she didn't realize that Marcus had a major concern about the data encryption the new system used. 2 weeks before the launch, Marcus found out about the encryption issue and shut the whole project down. He didn't do it to be mean. He did it to protect the firm. Sarah's project was delayed by 3 months and cost an extra $50,000 to fix. If Sarah had used the power interest grid, she would have seen Marcus in that high power, low interest quadrant. She would have checked in with him early, found the encryption issue in week 1, and fixed it before it became a crisis. That is the power of stakeholder analysis. It turns unforeseen disasters into managed tasks, making it stick. The most important thing to remember is that stakeholder analysis is not a one-and-done task. People change, their roles change, their moods change. Every time you hit a major project milestone, pull out your grid. Is Marcus still happy? Does the payroll team feel informed? Have any new stakeholders entered the picture? This is an iterative process. It is a living, breathing document that guides your actions every single day. When you do this right, you build a culture of trust. You show your colleagues that you value their expertise and respect their time. You aren't just pushing a change on them. You are leading them through it. This minimizes disruption and maximizes the chances that your project will actually deliver the value it promised. If you found this guide helpful and you want to level up your skills in change management and project leadership, Make sure to hit that subscribe button for the Mychangemanagement channel.